Did you hear that little? Because it's back and it's on your Switch. Mario Party 3, considered to be one of the best on the Nintendo 64, is finally on your Switch. The NSO service has it in full glory, and we do have a couple things to talk about it. I've always been a huge Mario Party fan, and I kind of want to wait a little bit until the third one came out. That way we can talk about it and see why it's kind of a missed opportunity in some degrees, and it truly does defy. It's better when you played it as a kid than when you are now, and I'll explain that. So let's go back to the Nintendo 64 version, compare it to see how it compares to the Switch version, and why I truly think if you're going to be playing this one, just play it on the 64. You'll thank me. Mario Party 3 is a 4-player beautiful bonanza, pitting you against your friends and making you hate them in mini games, and allows you to maneuver characters on a board game, and the character who has the most stars is the one that wins. Of course, all of these modes and everything that made Mario Party 3 great is completely intact, with nothing that wasn't. All the modes are here, so if you want to go into full story mode, which is kind of a cool degree, you can do that, but if you wanted to go pit against 4 players, this is not a bad way to do it. Of course, the main appeal is going to be playing Mario Party with 4 other people, and you do have this in spades. It's kind of nice to have a local multiplayer game, and you don't really see that these days. And Mario Party 3, it's nice to have this on the go. Just dock it in someone's house, play it, and you guys can either play through Switch Pro controllers or other variations, but it is a nice way that you can do that. Online is possible, but it's going to be very similar to how all the others of the NSO run. The person who has the worst internet is actually going to bring everyone down, meaning you're going to be having a lot of lag and a lot of problems that's already built on an online system that's not as fun to play because Nintendo hasn't really prioritized that. But I haven't even gotten to how local plays. When it comes into controls, I've talked about this on every single video. The NSO has significant lag that is not in the original version. Some games play better than others because of how sensitive some of them are. Some games aren't timing sensitive, but considering that Mario Party was built on minigames and multiplayer, yeah, this is going to be one of those you're going to really feel it. Whether the minigames allow you to use precise analog controls or timing buttons, you're not going to be getting it as good here just because of that lag. And it's going to be a terrible experience because you're not going to lose for the sake of losing. You're gonna lose because the controls genuinely suck. So not only are you pissed at your friend because he got a hidden star, you're also pissed at the game for not timing your inputs correctly. I do want to touch into the Nintendo 64 controller just for a sec. You guys know the infamous Mario Party scene. You use the analog in order to kind of rotate the controller, and it does tend to damage and wear the Nintendo 64 controller. And if you bought a brand spanking new N64 NSO controller, you might have that here as well. So if you want to keep it as nice as possible, I would not recommend using the N64 controller because you will wear the analog sticks, and at this moment in time, there are not replacement analog sticks that you can use. If you're going to be playing Mario Party, use a typical analog stick that is much more precise, it is much more durable, and it is meant to handle this kind of abuse. It's exactly why I don't think you should use the original N64 controllers. Since the Nintendo is primarily a 3D console, a lot of games look incredible with the smoothing filter, and the 3D models just look incredible, but Mario Party does not do this. Remember, the only things that are 3D are either some of the mini games, the character models, and other elements that are scattered throughout the board. But other than that, the game is somewhat 2D centric, using a lot of pre-rendered backgrounds, and this is where the problem is. You're going to be seeing very high quality 3D models and very low resolution 2D backgrounds. And it's this kind of dissonance that I'm not a big fan of, let's say, Resident Evil 3 on the PC that has not been modded, because you can see a huge dissonance between Jill Valentine and the background, and the same concept is here as well. So yeah, in some ways it'll look pretty nice on the 3D models, and I actually am a fan of that, but my god, the 2D just looks terrible. This is exactly why I prefer the Nintendo 64 version in this case, because everything blends in beautifully, and the game is running in a 240p resolution, so everything is nice and cohesive, and man, trust me, when you deal with scanlines, though even with the smoothing filter, that's not much to say on the 3D models. The Nintendo 64 is a 3D powerhouse, but Mario Party is genuinely one of the worst looking games, because the game wasn't really focusing on the models itself, but more of how they move, because you're going to use them very extensively in mini games, and they're going to be reacting very vividly. However, in other games, you might not see that as much. So when it comes into having more character detail, that's more of a priority. But Mario Party is not the priority. It's the mini games, it's the way the game plays, and honestly, graphically, the game looks pretty terrible, even on the Nintendo 64. But that is my take on Mario Party 3 on the NSO. It doesn't matter if it's 1, 2, or 3, Mario Party on the NSO is going to lack a lot of these features, and it's disappointing too because they're just inherent problems of the NSO. And if you do have one of those really cool N64 NSO controllers, I wouldn't recommend using that just because of that. I would just recommend using regular controllers. That's not really a big deal, and if anything, it'll play better and it'll feel more comfortable, at least for Mario Party. But what do you guys think? How are you going to be playing Mario Party 3? Do you prefer to play it on the Nintendo 64? Bring your console to your homie's house. You all play with 4 players, but you know what? Maybe it's more convenient on the Switch, and you all play on that case. Let me know what you guys think, and we can have a good discussion. Thank you guys so much for coming into this video and talking about Mario Party. I really do appreciate it, and especially to these fine people right here. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. It does mean a lot, and it's actually how I'm able to get more equipment and able to talk about a lot of these games. But if you want to see more videos right here, you can do so as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. I genuinely do appreciate it, and I'll see you very soon.